Oh,
So, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the day four of our program, Youth for Climate Action, Global Perspectives and Local Solutions. Today, we are focusing on a critical topic that's climate migration and human security. And I'm excited to introduce our guest speaker, Mr. Sam Thomas. Sam is a social innovator and public speaker from the United States, currently based in the United Arab Emirates. His work centers on empowering communities and young people to understand and address the growing challenges brought on by the climate change, especially those affecting vulnerable populations. Please join me in welcoming Sam Thomas as he shares his insights on how climate migration is reshaping our world and what local and global solutions we can build together. So, thank you so much for joining us, sir, today, and over to you.
thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. Dr. Rania, thank you for extending the invitation. And Dr. Musavar, thanks for your leadership and all the amazing events you have been having. And I look forward to participating at today's event. So with that, my name is Sam Thomas. I've been a university faculty and a corporate sector in aviation, and then IT space, and also in startup community, both in the United States and in the UAE, specifically in Dubai. I've also spent time in Abu Dhabi as a consultant to the Abu Dhabi government agency on economic development. In this part of the world and most of the world today, we face the environmental issues, environmental impact, especially with the migration connected to it, and a lot of the Middle East and North Africa region is closely impacted by that, as many of you know. So I look forward to spending a few minutes with you. Then from here, towards the end, we will have time for question and answers, and also for me to get to know more about you, especially the youth leaders who are attending today's event. I truly believe it comes down to the next generation of leaders, which are you, to continue to push these topics forward. And that's why we're all here today. And I'm excited. So, the topic of today's conversation is the pathways to a thriving future, climate action, and human potential. With that, I'll get to the key points that I hope to address today. And the key 4 points are building resilience and climate mobility and strengthening human security and sustainable communities, inspiring journeys, community resilience and innovation, youth as catalyst, transformation and transformative climate solutions. The the world, at least parts of the world, it may look hopeless in a lot of these challenges that were addressed, but we're seeing some incredible strides in turning these issues around. I've been eyewitnessing it, as many of you who have traveled in the Middle East region, especially in Dubai and UAE, some of the incredible developments that are happening here as far as high rises and city developments in the desert. However, it's also done with the proper management on uh, green planting or countering desertification, not to lose any more land to the desert. Actually, the opposite of that has been implemented here in Dubai and UAE with the help of the companies that are experts in this field, the Chinese companies, Scandinavian companies with the technology on turning deserts into farmland, and also everywhere that, again, those of you who've been through this region, you know that every city and every neighborhood they're developing, there's green focus on trees and maintain landscaping. It's all through drip irrigation because we don't get any rain here. I've lived here 4 years now. I can count on my one hand how many times we've gotten rain here. So it's from underground water or desalinated water from the ocean water, and also occasionally they use cloud seeding to make the clouds rain artificially. But overall, we don't get any rain. So we have to manage that. Yet, Dubai has done a tremendous job of turning this desert into a green neighborhood. So it can be done here. I know it's an expensive proposition, but especially for the youth that is listening to me, Uh, Nothing is impossible when it comes to this space. As you know, the history in the 20 years ago, most of Dubai, or 30 years ago, most of Dubai and UAE was nothing more than just desert, sand dunes after sand dunes. To turn that into where we are today, it took vision, it took commitment, it took incredible stewardship at the leadership level in Dubai and UAE. We go to the next slide, and part of the reason I keep emphasizing UAE and Dubai, and I'm a big fan of the leadership here in this space. So they're not just talking about it as in PR imagery. They're actually investing money and time in, and also governmental regulations demand that the new neighborhoods or the buildings comply with green building specifications and the carbon emissions. There are strict guideline and regulations. Or if trees to be removed from a desert tree exists and if to be cut down, they have to get special permission from the government and to do that. And also in areas of the ocean where they reclaim the ocean, these are stringent regulatory areas that it can be done, but it's not easy. And that is a lesson that the rest of the world can learn from how to manage, how to be, as I mentioned, good stewards of what we're given. And none of us around the world that we have different climate, obviously, it goes without saying. Now we're saying in this slide, we see that the climate snapshot we see here, temperatures actually has gone up, global temperature rate of rise throughout the world, intensifying. And again, it's our job to monitor and also to do counter efforts to change that around. The climate displacement is in the north of 20 million plus people. People like us, you and me, are impacted. Maybe even our own countries that we're listening to now, that people are moving from one region to the other. It could be that what they used to grow, farm products, no longer able to grow because of either too much rain or not enough rain. That happens when the climate changes drastically, like it has been. And the last bullet point there, the 90% of the climate related and discovery that improve understanding leads to this is the bottom line is that we have to understand the impact of it. And it's not just we're isolated. If you're in a good place that you're not directly impacted by it, we consider ourselves lucky, but it will eventually impact us as well, because we're all in this, as Carl Sagan, my favorite astrologist, have said that, sorry, the study of the stars and the systems we have out there. We're just a tiny, tiny, tiny blue pale dot in the universe and the whole scope of things. So we better take care of this planet that we've been gifted and given. Believe me, our actions or lack of actions have lasting impact, not only in our neighborhood, but throughout the world. What we do in our own respective countries will have lasting impact. What kind of chemicals we use in raising our plants and our farm products, and doesn't just stay with us. It gets into the waterways, it ends up in the oceans, and it recirculates into air and back to our food chain that we all consume, either through seafood or farm products. So it pays to pay attention what we put into our systems, regardless of where we are, because we're all in it together. Thank you. You go to the next slide. So, how climate change inspires a resilience and adaptive movement. We'll continue going to the next one. So again, every country in this region, every state that I know, I've been to the Emirates, different Emirates, whether it's Ras Al Khaimah, whether the neighboring Al Quwain, all these regions here, and the seven Emirates in the UAE, they all have aggressive programs on changing or defending against the environmental pollutory facts that, especially in the continued building construction boom they have here. So it's not accidental, and it's also accountability. You remember 2 years ago, the global environmental event was held here, COP28. From that, it was not, again, just a talking point or a flat platform for everyone to say something and move on. Abu Dhabi government, the central government, has put out mandatory regulations in 2030. By 2030, there's specific things that each government and each communities have to do to comply by creating green areas and walkways for people to get out of the houses, or indoor walk areas, especially in areas like in Dubai, there's extreme heat during the summer months. But one thing I noticed that here, the temperature here in the green areas start to drop. In Ras Al Khaimah, the Northern Emirate, there's a huge developments happening. One of the selling points they're talking about is that they're building intentionally green areas. Eventually, within 4 or 5 years, the temperature will be 4 degrees cooler than other parts of Ras Al Khaimah or other parts of UAE. So that is, again, it's pays to invest in that currently. So as you see in the picture, it's up to us, all of us, to take a hands-on approach and to change this, whether it's in the Middle East or any countries that we're in. In the southern region, southern hemisphere, a lot of the countries are dealing with over rain. In Philippines or in southern India or Bangladesh and other places, we see a lot of too much of rain and flood issues. So there are flood mitigation and also the areas that are dropping into the ocean, Maldives and Lakshadweeps and all the other ocean or Thailand. These are places that actually putting in place systems in place to thwart that. So again, areas they faced with drought, other areas with the deluge of water, and more storms also. Increase in storms are happening as well. Go to the next slide. So it comes down to us, each of us individually taking an action. And fortunately, we have guidelines. We have the United Nations guidelines and the holistic approach to human security. And there are a few that I briefly mentioned that it's all connected, how it's all connected. Economic security, food security, health security, environmental security, and personal security, and community security. So in a nutshell, these 6 key points, interconnected dimensions, and in building resilience and driving positive change in our world that we're given. It's not necessarily fair that you, the new generation, we turn to and say, we need your help and we look forward to you to fix it. And oftentimes the conversation happens with the students that I teach or that I speak to. What a mess we created for you to, that we're turning the young generation to fix it. But I must say that it's been a little messy, even in my younger age. I look back and say, the world has been a little bit of going through these challenges. It had never been in recent history, maybe in the couple of 100 years, it has been a perfect solution or perfect behavior by humankind. I think we often forget that our behavior, what we do, our actions have lasting impact. So if anything at all, thanks to the advent of technology and the diffusion, where we can get what we doing today, we're sharing up-to-date, cutting-edge technology, through cutting-edge technology, the information we have to all over the world, to Pakistan, to India, to UAE, to US, and everyone has this information now. So that's the one blessing we have now. Everyone knows through social media, and we can share that. We can share the urgency of what we're dealing with as we're doing today. So this, and the good thing again, is the foundation has been laid by United Nations and what we are to do, and keep pushing forward in the same direction. 170 nations so far has been signatories to the climate change or a positive push towards this. And that's a good place to be. That's never been done before. So it may look dire and negative or not so good news, but the good news is that we can build from here. We can change things. We can counter it. I'll give you a couple of examples of how the world is. I touched on what is happening in Dubai and Middle East. I'll give you some more examples from different parts of the world. You can go to the next slide. So climate migration, it's a real thing. It's happening that if you and I, if you're not able to raise or plant the crops that we used to do, and our land is all of a sudden it's not fertile anymore, it's not producing, then we have a responsibility to ourselves, to our family, to be able to feed them. So we move, we go to other places, and if you don't have any other places to go to buy or to lease land, then what do? We get desperate and we pack up and move across. We become refugees or we become homeless in that sense. It has happened before. You look through the history, you see that most of the civilizations were set up along the way of the rivers that existed 4,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago. We have one of the ancient civilizations in Pakistan and India, the Sindh civilization. And it was along the river Sindh. So there's a reason for that. It's access to fresh water, access to fertile land, similar in Nile and Egypt. Nile is one of the most fertile land area, and it still continues to be. So that is the human nature. We look for productivity and to be able to feed our families and to take care of ourselves. And that is our innate behavior. We will continue to move. Now, the boundaries and countries and all these things, a lot more restrictions have happened since then, which makes it difficult. That's why you often see that people risk their life and their children's life getting on boats that are unsafe or trying to swim across the bodies of water, whether in South America to U.S. or going across desert areas in Mexico, trying to find a better life for their families from El Salvador, Guatemala, other places through Mexico, treacherous land to get into North America. It happens. Unfortunately, it shouldn't be that way, but it happens, and we can do something about it to change it. And that's why we're here. You go to the next slide. It's because climate adaptation and resiliency, as I referred to, it's built into us. This is who we are as human beings. We have been doing this for years and years, and we have, thank God, we have solutions now. We have technology in our favor now. We can exchange ideas and information. What lacked before, what was missing before was a coordinated effort, a coordinated archive of information that we can share with others on whether to deal with extreme drought, or in that case, we have companies around the world now specializing in desert farming from European countries, I believe it's Norway and Scandinavian countries. They're specializing a certain type of spray clay that you can spray into the desert area, desert sand, that becomes some farmland eventually, gradually, and with the right water source to spray and cultivate, you can actually have productive farmland in the desert. Chinese have proven it, and here in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, they're testing it. And it's only a matter of time before it becomes a reality, and we have to start thinking that way. Again, in the opposite of that is there's too much water areas. Netherlands is an example of how they created systems of dikes and high technology systems of flow from floodwater to the ocean to let out, and also dam systems to rain collecting a heavy rainwater, and also reforestation to toward soil erosion and the right type of farming. I spent most of the United States. I was born in southern India, then my family moved to the US, and I was able to see some of the large scale farming or a lack of. Let me explain what I mean by that. In Colorado, which is considered a arid land, semi-desert land, a high country, and there the farmers are very selective in how much tilling they do. They're not allowed to till full till like we do in other parts of the world, because when they do that, the high wind comes in and kicks the topsoil out, then the land become not so productive. Therefore, in their 1930s and 40s, there's stories of dust storms and land become worthless. So the U.S. government led this action, and they actually pay the large scale farmers, the ones with 1,000 acre, 2,000 acre land, to keep their land idle for seasons. So they will grow certain type of grass and certain type of products. They don't harvest it, they leave it like that, and they get compensated by the government. During that time, wildlife or birds and migratory birds and other animals will come in there, and they get to live off of that land at that time. It's also rebuild the quality of the soil and prevents erosion and so on. So that's something that the rest of the world can take that from parts of the world that similar climate we can learn from. And so again, that is a beautiful thing about today where we live in. And this is at our fingertips, especially for the youth and your generation. It's not completely hopeless. We have technology and knowledge that we're willing to share thanks to the coordinated effort from United Nations and the SDG initiatives. This is no longer just one country's burden. The nation, at least 170 nations are realizing we're all in it together. You go to the other side. And speaking SDGs, here we go. These are some of my favorite ones, especially applicable to today's topic. Climate action, SDG 13. SDGs, everyone in the audience know by what that is by now. This is Sustainable Development Goals. There's 17 of them. and the 17 key ones, and then there's subpoints. These are the SDG 13, climate action, urges urgent action against climate change. Robust climate action creates stable communities and secures sustainable future. And SDG 10, reduced inequalities. The goal ensures progress benefits everyone. Reducing inequalities strengthens societies, boosting climate resilience and stability. SDG 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. Robust governance and peaceful societies are foundational for navigating climate impacts. They enable effective resources management, protecting those seeking stability. Let me focus on SDG 16, the one I just read. It's applicable. It is so important of all the initiatives, in my opinion. Here's why. Strong institutions and accountability is so key. Recently, I won't mention the name of the country. All of you may be aware of that. Recently, there's a heavy storm-ridden country in Asia. Flooding happened, storms happened, and the cities are deluged. In the meantime, there's billions of dollars in misappropriation happen. The government agencies are supposed to build dams. That money went to a lot of the politicians' pockets. And yet the people suffer and their properties are lost. So this is where the strong institutions and accountabilities come in. This is where you and I come in. We have to get involved. We have to be active. Politics or institutions no longer a standby, hands-off approach anymore. I mean that in a productive, responsive way. Whatever country you're in, you have to find the law of the land with respect to the laws of the land that you live in, but be active. Things won't just automatically turn out the way we want it to be. We could slowly get involved, whether in politics or running for an office, or be an educator, be a speaker. If you speak with passion, if you teach with passion, if you're in politics for the right reason, to serve our community, to make our world a better place, people will listen. We all know the recent example in the United States of Mr. Mamdani in New York. It's impossible. Most people call it impossible. There's no way he could be elected. All you have to do is listen to him speak about his passion to serve the people. And again, all those of young people in the audience, I highly recommend you study or observe him, how he's tackling every issue, inequality, climate issues, all these other things. It can be done. All right, next slide we go to. Unlocking progress and SDGs pave the way for a brighter future. Here we go. These are some of the impact that we're dealing with. The nations, 170 of them signed on climate action. That is incredible. And we have 1.2 billion lives transformed by poverty reduction. I know firsthand in India, in my lifetime, I've seen close to 200 plus million people have been lifted out of poverty. My home state where I was born in Kerala, last week declared itself as extreme poverty. They have eliminated extreme poverty. So no one in the state of Kerala has living in below where they can sustain or feed themselves. And that is a beautiful thing that happened in my own lifetime. I think there are a lot of factors that have gone into it, which we can all find out exactly what they are. And some of it is economic development because people are working abroad and all of that. That's for another topic, another time. 75% progress in governance. Nations are strengthening governance, fostering transparency and accountability, and for sustainable development. And that is so true in this part of the world. I see it. Accountability in corporate side, there's reports are required of corporations regarding their programs, how much waste, how much impact they're having. If you're a construction company here, you have to report that, mandated by the government, how much environmental damage you're causing here when you're during a construction phase. All of that. I teach project management for real estate professionals here, and I know for firsthand that is true here. We'll go to the next slide. Partnerships for goals, youth leading change. Strengthening global partnerships, multi-stakeholder collaborations for climate resilience and human security increased by 30%. Forging shared progress across diverse sectors. youth-driven innovation, positive impact. Over 500,000 young people globally pioneer SDG initiatives, bringing fresh perspectives and empowering local solutions for community building, empowering international investment, international funding for youth-focused climate action and peace building grew 15% annually, fueling grassroots initiatives and foster stability and growth. So here you are the catalyst that we're looking for, the change makers. And it's no longer that we can sit back and watch someone else to fix our problems. As someone famous once said that no one's coming to save us. It's up to us, each of us to take the initiative to fix it. So we can have a productive, a safe environment to live in. Also, you can leave it for your next generation. Your children and your grandchildren and next future generations could have that. Next slide, please. Policy paving the way, unlocking solutions, championing adaptation in finance. So policies transform challenges and opportunities, fostering resilience. Governments and international organizations are working closely than ever before. And in adaptation finances, recently I was at a startup event. There's a company that started with focus on investing in green startups. Their whole model is to only invest in companies with green ideas, environmental causes, that for-profit companies, and they're not alone. There are a lot of companies doing that. And a lot of large multinational companies, corporations, are setting aside their CSR funds, corporate social responsibility funds, to reinvest in these factors, fostering safe and dignified pathways, open, compassionate legal avenues for climate migrants. Even with all these things that we're talking about, the education, the awareness, their migrant or climate migrancy will happen inevitably. We have to have provisions in place for compassionate legal avenues for people to migrate to areas when their homeland is lost and due to adverse climate issues. And again, there's no fault of their own. It could be their neighboring countries, or it could be global climate change. All of a sudden, their fertile land is no longer, and we can't blame them. This could be inherited land. They got it from their forefathers. All of a sudden, it's useless. What do you do? Or their fertile land is flooded. What do you do? And countries have to have provisions and compassionate migrancy policy in place. And that's United Nations taking the lead. And again, the signatory countries have to set aside resources and provisions for that. We can proactively address climate displacement and deliver effective human support. Investigating green opportunities, ignite economic transformation. It's already happening. Renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, climate adaptation sectors. We touched on most of it. We'll go to the next slide. We are, without saying that we are the critical actors. I'm not ready to pass all the responsibility to you, Ed. As long as we're alive, as long as we're here on this beautiful earth, we're all responsible. But yet, you will continue pushing this forward as young people and pass this vision. Don't let off. Don't be complacent, because this is something that we have to keep pushing. If we don't, companies and other actors will, with short gain in mind, immediate profit in mind, they will circumvent this. The moment we become complacent, the moment we take our eyes off the transparency and accountability factors off, other actors will take advantage of that. I've lived long enough to see that happen in every part of the world. Whether in North America, here, not so much, but definitely in South Asia, and I've seen it. Empowering innovation. Young innovators craft practical and impactful climate solutions, from early warning systems on climate to smart farming and empowering communities to adapt and thrive. Youth leaders forge coalitions, energize social campaigns, and build global networks. Their grassroots power drives meaningful progress and builds resilient communities. Visionary leadership. Youth voices advocate for genuine solutions, inspire accountability, and champion environmental justice. They create irresistible momentum for positive transformation. The middle point, the first two bullet points, let me address that. I see this in action all the time in my classes. I teach at a UK university here in Dubai. In January, I'll start teaching at American University, Sharjah, entrepreneurship and ethics and so on. What I see here that when the students are in a classroom, I usually have them mix up. I have Indians and Pakistani students and Chinese and others that normally wouldn't mix. I ask them to get to know each other. What are common goals and pains and aspirations? At the end of the day, find out about each other, and what they learn from each other is that we're all in it together. The boundaries and restrictions that human beings put up at times, oftentimes keeps us at odds or fighting with each other. But we should be looking for a common ground, that we have more in common and common ground than we often think. We all want to have clean air and safe and reliable food safety for ourselves and our future generation. And my students form lasting friendships. And I joke about it. Dubai is one of the few places that Russians and Ukrainians and Pakistanis and Indians and every other characters and people from each country get along just fine. Because you know why? There's transparency and accountability here. The leadership here insist that we get along, we respect each other, we work towards common benefit, we become respectful of each other's space, each other's religion, each other's culture. And when that happens, we all benefit from it. The world is big enough for all of us to exist and thrive and benefit from. It's when leaders with misguided propaganda that takes our eyes off, bad things happen. It doesn't have to be that way. Dubai is a prime example. UAE is a prime example of this. We can all peacefully coexist. Again, it starts from the leadership. Leadership demands us to behave and get along and focus on what we need to do to grow our society economically so we can all have a better life. We'll go to the next one. Your voice matters. Inspire leaders to act. You demand and you hold each other accountable politely, respectfully, and you champion the climate justice. Do not let go of it. This will last through your lifetime. Then you pass it to your children, and you become teachers and speakers like me and others. Inspire the next generation. Pass it on. Strengthen our community resilience. Stand in solidarity with communities navigating climate transitions around the world. We're not isolated anymore. Support initiatives that build inclusive societies and foster lasting stability. Next slide, please. And we have a blueprint for action. A lot of the graphics are futuristic, but a lot of these things are happening right here in Dubai and parts of the world. Futuristic cities are being built where there are walkways with Japan is a leader in this one, and China, many cities where you walk, and from the energy that we put out, the resistance they collect from our stepping or running, they can create electricity, which turn in, and also most of the country, most of the world, we have solar energy, and going into electrical needs now in even rural areas of the world now. That's a beautiful thing. Innovate and build, co-create resistant, one second, resilient communities and champion local climate solution. Again, there's no one solution fitting every part of the world. In parts of Pakistan and parts of Africa, parts of US will be different from one from another, but there are common solutions and local solutions. So we have to be creative in that to find the solution that fits our community. Transform, embrace personal choices, reduce consumption. I heard a speech from a couple of years ago from another expert in environmental causes. What she said was, it comes down to this. It could be as simple as how long we leave the tap water on when we brush our teeth. It could start with that, or how long we take showers. Yeah, we all need to be clean, and often we take showers. But how often we are mindful of that. There are people still hurting for clean water around the world. Yet, do we need to keep the water? I know I'm guilty of it. You turn the tap and you brush your teeth, the water's running. It's almost relieving or soothing for our ears, but how much water are we wasting when we do that? And the rest, I'll leave that up to you. It's a self-reflection, right? I'll go to the next slide. Next decade. It doesn't stand or just limit to next 10 years. It goes on and on. It's your lifetime. It's your children's lifetime there, and make it an important cause that your children's children will teach their next generation and become active and stay active in this one. It doesn't end with us. It doesn't end with me. It doesn't end with you. So the choices are our choices that we make today shapes our tomorrow. Every action, carbon reduction, policy, voice for change, creates ripple effects. That means, multiplier. It starts small here, and if you keep pushing, it becomes much bigger than what we started. The future isn't fixed. We're painting it together. Climate action ensures a thriving future, securing a world of possibility where communities and ecosystems flourish. Advocating for climate solution is an investment in a brighter, more resilient tomorrow. Hope fueled by action ignites change. Hope needs action to become a momentum. You have the power to create a lasting change, making hope a reality. Can we get the last slide? So I went through all the slides, but I'll be happy to open up for questions and touch on any of the topics we discussed. And again, it comes down to each of us. I do a lot of social media events on individual responsibilities. And one of the things I talk about is that motivational speeches, or even speeches like what I just gave, alone means nothing without action. And it all starts with us. There's an old saying that I often go to, which is that it's been given to an unknown monk. It's about when I was young, I wanted to change the world. Then I realized I can change the world. I try to change my nation and country and family and all of that. Then I realized as an older man, I realized the only thing I can change is myself. When I was young, if I had realized that and changed myself, influenced my families to change, my neighborhood to change, my nation to change, my world would have changed. So changing the world we all want to do, especially those of us who are active in this space. But it starts with us. It starts with us, our behavior, what we make a priority, and how passionate we are about these causes. So it starts with us. Thank you so much for your time. I'll take your questions now.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sam Thomas, for your wonderful presentation. It was really insightful and amazing, and good to know that you are also having an South Asian origin. And your presentation was amazing. And, definitely the work Dubai or the United Arab Emirates as a whole, or the other, the states they are doing related to the climate change, the green technology, green innovation, it's really commendable and it is appreciated across the globe. There was COP28 that was held in Dubai. And I think along not even COP, but there are other initiatives as well of the government of Dubai and the government of Abu Dhabi and Ras Al Khaimah and other states as well. They are doing a tremendous job. You have explained very beautifully. So thank you so much. It was really a wonderful presentation. Before moving towards question answer session, Ms. Rania, if you want to add something and then we can move toward question answer session.
Yes, definitely. Good morning from me, and I would like to only congratulate Mr. Sam Thomas for his outstanding presentation, for highlighting how Dubai is making actually a serious and ambitious effort to climate change, not just in mitigation, but also in adaptation. What we could see here, what is the recipe? I think that the recipe is the mix of policy, technology, finance, and infrastructure, which shows a mature, forward-looking strategy. On the other hand, here in Europe, I was explaining what you mentioned about politics and the issue of corruption. We're suffering a lot from this. as Mr. Sam, because the wind turbine project, which costs a lot here in Greece, Greece has invested billions on this project, has failed totally. Entrepreneurs, burn our forests, they put arsons, they create arsons. So we have lost the half of our forests because of this. And not only this, we don't have any result. I mean, we have higher energy prices with the bills. And of course, businessmen ignore the local needs. So we have a destruction of the local ecosystems, the birds and all these things, how they are affected. So the first is this: if we don't have political accountability, everything else, I think it's just a talk. So these things go hand in hand, as you mentioned. I would like just to ask you that what trends in climate migration should we expect by 2030, 2050? I mean, of course, maybe urbanization more. Many climate migrants will move into cities, especially in the global south. And what about sea level rise, the coastal relocation? And in some regions may relocate to safer, more elevated inland areas. So what do you think? What are the trends for climate migration?
Right. Climate migration is a reality. It's going to happen more and more. It's going to take place. Extreme drought, and also extreme flooding. These things are happening right now. Even cities in developed places like in Kerala, I'll talk about my home state, the coastal areas, Cochin, our main port, and under threat for um, flooding or constant flooding, right? Frequent flooding. So what that happens is that it becomes inhabitable. The people living a good life now, the comfortable life and the techno cities and affluent neighborhood no longer become, because the flood water doesn't really discriminate against whether you're wealthy or poor. A floodwater like to flood. A drought,
Yeah.
similarly, it doesn't matter whether how much money we have in the bank account or not. It will come in because it's bigger than us. So inevitably, this will happen. Unfortunately, this will continue to happen. And the only way to deal with that, my opinion, is that the 170 nations who are signatories to it so far make an aggressive or active plan to calculate and plan for that, and to put in, under the SDG initiatives, to put in compassionate human plans for that. Calculate. We have data available now. The United Nations has data available now, and we can put it on using AI. We can predict how many more people happen according to, over the next 5 years, and plan for that. Not to be surprised, not to vilify them and dehumanize people, whether they're coming from global south to north or east to west or Bangladesh to other place. I'm just saying Bangladesh because it's the flood areas in Bangladesh often, or in the low-lying areas in Philippines or southern India, what have you. We just have to have more active and human plans, and also transparency and accountability by government agencies has to happen. Politicians shouldn't be allowed to take money that belongs to the people instead of building dams, taking in their private Swiss accounts. They have to be held responsible. The World Court in Hague and international, jurists have to get involved in these matters. Sorry, that's a long answer to your question. I don't have a specific answer. All I know is it's coming. It's happening now. It will continue to happen until we get a handle on it, on the weather reversal, if you can do that at all.
So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Anyone else for me? I'll give a quick positive story, then maybe if anyone else has a question. I think I see a couple of hands. Amaya Nishid, Farheen, and Wazim, if you have questions, you can ask me. Otherwise, here's the one snippet. I was born in southern India, and when I left, I don't know, many years ago, still mostly green, and we get a lot of rain in Kerala. In the last 10 years, the land that we grew up with, farms and agricultural, majority of the land has been reverted to forest land because there's not enough people to work on the fields. So people are working abroad, and there are not enough affordable farm workers. So in Kerala has been a net gain of forest land in the last 5 to 10 years. So that's a good thing. But because of the amount of rain we get, reforestation can happen whether we want it or not. But again, that's isolated areas. In African region, there is a big effort happening to farm and um, the desert land. But I don't know if it's enough. I think there needs to be bigger efforts need to happen. Yeah, there are some hopes of things turning around. Anyone else have a question?
Yes, sir, I have a question.
Go ahead, Farheen.
First of all, thank you so much for quoting Rumi at the end of the discussion. It is my favorite quote. So my question is regarding SDGs, as we have discussed many SDGs goals by United Nations. So climate change, we can say, increasingly undermines progress across the multiple SDGs, including poverty reduction, health and food security, highlighting its cross-cutting threat to the 2030 agenda. So the voluntary nature of SDG, particularly SDG 13, limits its accountability with the lack of enforceable mechanism. We can say adequate adoption, funding, and protection of the climate-induced migrants. Risk reducing the goals to the symbolic commitments rather than transformative actions. So, in this context, how can we can say the United Nations turn its climate goals, particularly SDG 13, into we can say binding global commitments then that genuinely protects the vulnerable population? Thank you.
Right. A very good question. In that sense, the United Nations, as in a lot of the international treaties, as you know, it's oftentimes it's a voluntary effort. There's very little enforceable mechanism behind it. So it becomes countries choose it as, all right, I feel like doing it today, therefore I might, I'm a signatory, but there's still no enforceable mechanism or penalty involved if you don't behave such. Then we have certain questionable leadership from, let's say, the United States or other places come into play, all of a sudden discounting climate topics as a hoax, or then it sort of sets everything back a little bit. And people start questioning, is it true? Is it a hoax? Is it real? That's when we make one step forward and three step backwards. And unfortunately, we're sort of parts of the world that's in that situation right now. However, the ones we have to push through. We know the truth. We know the science. We have the data. The scientists have the data. United Nations have the data, proven data. At least most of the 170 nations, the signatory nations, I can speak for UAE and Dubai. They are strong in this one. Here's why I say that. Every class we teach here in the universities, we're mandated to teach SDG initiatives. We're mandated to talk about the UAE's role in it, initiatives, the 2030 initiative and Dubai's initiatives. I didn't see this in the US. I've been a faculty in the US as well as here. I'm not being negative on US. I'm just saying a lot of times countries are selective in this. To answer your question, how can we change that? We have to push for international organizations while recognizing a lot of these rules are voluntary. They lack the teeth to make it enforceable. But we have to work within that framework. I believe respectful dialogue, like what we're having now, me or you explaining to me, what does it mean to us if I don't do this? If we allow someone to take short gain out of the government fund instead of building dams, go to their private accounts, that impacts all of us, then we will start to think differently. I hope that answers your question, Farheen. I wish there was more enforceable law of the land. Unfortunately, it doesn't. It's still voluntary.
Thank you so much, sir. I got it.
And yeah, I'm glad you like Rumi. I quote Rumi all the time. Rumi is an inspiration to me. Thank you so much.
For me as well, he's my all-time favorite.
Excellent,
Thank
excellent.
you.
All right. Wasim, do you have a question for me?
Yes, sir. Sir, first of all, thank you so much. And these were the great approach to curb the climate change. But sir, my question is that how can rising sea levels be controlled as they are forcing people to migrate from the coastline areas in the countries like you have mentioned already, like Bangladesh and Pakistan? And how do you see the future of the people of the coastline areas which are being forced to migrate?
Right. Some of that will happen. Again, let me give you my own firsthand experience in coastal areas of Kerala, the southern tip of India, which is some of it similar to parts of Pakistan and Bangladesh and Thailand and Philippines. So the seas are rising, like we talked about temperature rising or desertification. Um, it doesn't really care whether you have a mansion on the beach or whether you're a poor fisherman on the beach. The sea is heartless often. It just comes in. Either we prepare ourselves or we will lose the multi-million dollar mansion as well as the fishermen lose their hut or lives. So how do we deal with that in the sense is that there are mitigation effort, technology available. I mentioned Netherlands. Netherlands is a leader in this one because they had to build in dike systems and preventive systems to survive as a nation because their nation is deluged with water. Technology is available, how to knowledge is available. It's the resolve and resources that need now. And that comes from nation states, elected officials, and United Nations type of entities that share this knowledge. No longer keep it in silos in one country. I have this, but share that. I think Netherlands, I don't want to speak for them, but they've been more than willing to share their knowledge, either consultative basis or maybe even other areas to give it to prevent because they realize and we're all in it together. So to answer your question, Wazim, is that it's not easy, but it can be done. And there will be some people migrate because of that. If the flooding happens tomorrow, we can't sit there and debate what to do. We got to pack up and move to higher grounds. Again, in the state of Kerala, our government is proactive in this. They repatriate or find government land to put people, being from homeless. We don't have a homelessness issue in Kerala. I wish that were the case for the rest of India. It can be. So if one little state can do it, with 35 million people, the rest of India could copy that, and the rest of the world can find best practices that can fit in each community. So it's not all hopeless, Wasim. We can make change. We have proven methodologies out there that we can copy from.
All right, sir. Perfect answer. Thank you so much.
All right. Anyone else?
I think, Sam, we don't have any further questions. So, but I mean, in the closing words, I would like to highlight few areas, as you just mentioned, in your presentation as well, that three of the SDGs are very close to you, or you are working more on them. So, among those three, there are two of the SDGs that we are working on as well at the Youth Diplomacy Forum. The one is Climate Action SDG 13, and the other one is SDG 16, Peace, Justice, and Strong Institutions. So, we are also working on, we have commonalities in these two SDGs because in the YDF, if we talk about the Sustainable Development Goals, three of the SDGs we are working on: quality education, climate action, peace, justice, and strong institutions, because we cannot cover all the SDGs. So that is why we are focused on three of them, and we are working since last 4 or 5 years on these SDGs because. And we have organized different programs as well, different awareness campaigns that are related to climate action, that are related to biodiversity, that is related to quality education. And also, I mean, we haven't worked practically on peace, justice, and strong institutions, because in that, to apply that SDG or to work practically, we need support from the institutions, from the academic institutes, from the other institutions that are working, that are operating in the country. So, I mean, peace, justice, and strong institutions rather need more collaboration and partnership efforts so that it can be applicable, and we can do that. So that's why we are lacking in that area. But we believe that in future, we will definitely be able to work on that SDG as well, because we still have 5 years till 2030. These SDGs, this is the agenda for 2030, so we still have time. And we believe that it's not only we have collaborations internationally. We worked with different platforms, think tanks, media outlets from across the globe. But when it comes to peace, justice, and strong institutions, it starts from home. So when we have strong institutions at home, then we can go to for a regional integration or international cooperation. We are doing it in our domain, in our capacity, as much as we can. But again, this is not a, as you said, this is not an only one person effort. This is not an only one organization's effort. This is a collective effort. When we all are together in this, then this can be achievable. I mean, even though we are putting drops, we are doing something. It is contributing maybe a little bit. But again, the thing is that idea is there, vision is there, but we need collaboration and partnership to work practically on these areas. And I believe that Dubai, United Arab Emirates, is the best example in this regard. How they are, their multicultural environment, their diversity, the people, as you have given the examples as well, Russians, Ukrainians, Indians, Pakistani, Bangladeshi, and from other parts of the world as well, how they are living there peacefully. And I mean, they have best example for all of us as well to learn. Either Indians, Pakistanis, we have to learn from them as well. I mean, they are doing a wonderful job, as you discussed as well, in Sharjah and in other Emirates as well. So I mean, we really appreciate it, and I think we need to follow them as well, because it's not about we just listen. We have to follow them as well. If it is good for our society, if it is good for our people, what are we thinking for, and why we are waiting for it? So climate change is a reality. We don't have to wait for future. If we don't spare it, or give more importance to the climate change, maybe in upcoming 50 to 100 years, things will be totally different for our generations, for our upcoming people who will be living here. So this will be very hard for them. We have already know what's the situation of rising sea level, what's the situation of water that's under the ground, under the soil, how it is becoming less from time to time, how it is degrading, how soil erosion, deforestation. So I mean, this is all is changing the environment, changing the habitat. We are seeing the habitat loss. So if we do not work right now, things are going to be definitely challenged for us, especially for the developing world. I mean, Dubai, they are rich, they have resources, but again, it is not enough. I mean, they have resources, but at least they are working on it. I mean, even there are some countries who have resources, they are rich as well, but they are not working on these issues. So I mean, also climate resilient societies are also very important. We need green technologies, green innovation. It is a need of time, I would say. I think we don't have any questions so far. At the end, I would like to thank you for your powerful presentation and for shedding light on the vital connection between the climate migration and human security. And your insights have reminded us that behind every statistic is a human story, and that the choices we make today will shape the safety, dignity, and well-being of the communities across the world. And we truly appreciate your time, your expertise, and the passion you bring to this conversation. Thank you so much once again, and we have to end up our session for now. Thank you so much
for the invitation. Thank you for your support, your assistance on the presentation. Thank you, all of you. Thank you, Dr. Rania.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inspiring us and expanding our perspectives. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.